Hey guys, what's up? It's King Christo here, and today I am back with Pre-Built PCs in Peril, the series where I show how much you may or may not save by building your own computer, part 4. I found two good systems for this episode today, one AMD Ryzen system being sold by Best Buy, and another Intel system being sold by Newegg. Also, on today's shows, we may actually have the first pre-built PC actually worth it that costs over $1,000. Now without further ado, let's get into today's pre-built PCs. The first PC is a Dell Inspiron desktop being sold by Best Buy. It comes with an AMD Ryzen 7 1700, which is currently one of the best processors for multi-threaded workloads currently out due to its full 8 cores and 16 threads. It also has an RX 580 graphics card, the version with 8GB of VRAM, meaning so far this PC actually has some pretty decent specs. It also has 16GB of DDR4 RAM and a 1TB hard drive on the inside. I kinda wish I would have seen an SSD, but for just $1,050, I guess I shouldn't expect that much for a machine with a Ryzen 7 and an RX 580. The machine also has a decent looking case with plenty of front I/O and a CD player. Finally, the system comes with both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi as well as Windows 10 Home for the operating system. I quickly opened up PC Part Picker and added the Ryzen 7 1700 to the parts list, which is currently being sold for just $280. It also comes with a pretty decent stock cooler, which also includes RGB lighting, so the build includes that as well. Next, I made sure to choose a motherboard that had the X370 chipset, so it would work well with Ryzen, as well as had Bluetooth and Wi-Fi built in. I settled on the ASRock X370 Killer SLI/AC. At the time of recording, the motherboard costed about $145, but if you actually wait for sales, you can actually pretty easily get it for $120 brand new. Next, I went with 16GB of DDR4 RAM by Team Dark, running at 2400 MHz, which costed a whopping $150. Moving on, I added a Western Digital 1TB hard drive for $50, which satisfies all the storage requirements. The Sapphire RX 580 8GB Pulse matches the GPU used in the pre-built, but most likely has better cooling, so I continue to use that for about $280. Now for $40, you can pick up the Cougar MX330, which really is a decent looking case with a tinted side panel window and a PSU shroud. I also went with a Seasonic M12i 520 watt for the PSU, which is 80 plus bronze fully modular unit for just $50. Finally, I added a $20 optical drive with Windows 10 for $30 by Kingwin to my build. My build came to a total of almost $1,050, just like the pre-built. This PC is actually a pretty darn good deal, and is the first I have seen for over $1,000 within this series. Now listen, I understand why this PC is a good deal though. A lot of people who shop at Best Buy for pre-built desktops don't really understand the most about computers, hence why they're not even looking into building their own. They would buy a computer with worse components just as long as it has recognizable components. Normally people would recognize something like quote-unquote Core i7 or NVIDIA GTX and not much AMD Ryzen 7 and an RX 580. This means less people bought the system, and so therefore the price had to go down for it to sell well. Overall, this is actually a pretty great system for the price, and if you're in the market for a pre-built and you can't build your own for whatever reason, I actually will suggest this PC. The second PC was an Asus being sold by Newegg. It costed a bit more than $1,500, and inside was an Intel Core i7 7700, the locked model, not the unlocked to overclock, along with an NVIDIA GTX 1070. It also came with 16GB of DDR4 RAM at an unknown clock speed. It was a small form factor PC, and so it uses an external PSU, which is normally not the best because that means that you're going to have a big hunk on the cable to the PC instead of just having an internal PSU where the cable is simply just the cable. For storage, it comes with a single 512GB SSD, which is actually pretty good for the SSD, but I would have liked to have a hard drive for that, which brings me into why my first opinions on this PC were not too good. First of all, I would have liked to see a hard drive, and also for $1,500, I would have expected to see a GTX 1080 instead of the 1070 because it could have easily been fit into the budget. Also, no mention on the cooling system, so it most likely uses the Intel stock cooler, which is quite terrible. Finally, the PC did come with a pre-installed copy of Windows 10 Home. I added the Intel Core i7 7700 to my own build, the same processor being used in the pre-built for around $300. This also comes with the same cooler most likely used in the pre-built. I then added an H270 motherboard, which consists of all the features the i7700 can take advantage of. Next, I added the same 16GB kit of Team Dark memory I used in the previous build for around $150. SanDisk 480GB SSD is a good price of $130, so I added it to the build to fulfill the around 500GB SSD requirements. Zotac GTX 1070 Mini is a small 1070, but needless to say, the cooler still is superior to the blower style cooler used in most pre-builds, so I added that card as well. I chose the BitPhoenix Comrade for the case, which has no side panel window, and therefore we won't have to be spending too much time on cable management in this PC. I did the same Seasonic PSU, the $50 M12i 520W as used in the previous build as well. Finally, I added a cheap $30 mouse and keyboard combo by Cooler Master and Windows 10 Home for $30 by Kingwin once again. This time, my total of the build came up to around $1,200. This means that you would save over $300 if you built your own PC instead of buying this pre-built. With that $300, I would suggest adding a hard drive to the build for mass storage and upgrading the GPU to a 1080 instead of a 1070. I also would recommend going for a Coffee Lake PC build or Ryzen so that you have some future upgradability, because with Kaby Lake currently, if you want to upgrade the processor, you also have to upgrade the motherboard. Finally, I would recommend getting a better CPU cooler than the stock CPU cooler that comes with Intel processors so that your processor doesn't get that hot, because let's be honest, the Intel stock cooler is complete garbage. Needless to say, I really do not need to recommend this pre-built. This is overpriced by over $300, but I will still have both PCs featured in this video linked in the description below. I hope that everyone enjoyed this episode of Pre-Built PCs in Peril, and I hope some of you actually learned a thing or two. I'd like to remind everyone that my Discord is down below, so if you want to contact me, that definitely is the best place to do it, as well as the fact that my Patreon is also if anyone would like to donate to the channel. Now, if you enjoyed the video, remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't, feel free to thumbs down and give me some feedback in the comments. And if you're interested in future videos, remember to get subscribed, and the playlist for the series will be down below. Now, without further ado, this is King Christo signing off, and peace out.